Hey everybody, this is Tori, and today I'm going to be talking to you about my top 5 favorite movies. So, I'm going to talk about my top 5 favorites today, and you'd think I'd have a hard time choosing between those 260 to 270, but when I was going through my movies, I found out I picked 5 and didn't have any other ones that I thought competed with those 5. So, it was actually pretty easy. So, let's get started. I'm going to go from number 5 to number 1 in descending order or ascending, descending order. There you go, and tell you a little bit about what the movie's about and why it's my favorite. So let's get started. Number 5 is Miracle on 34th Street. This is the original version. I like to watch it in black and white, although I do have it in color. This is about Susie, a little girl, and her mom Doris. Doris works in Macy's and hires Kris Kringle to play Santa Claus for their Christmas season. And the movie is about basically believing in the spirit of Santa Claus, and it's great. So it's my favorite, or on my list of favorites, because one of my favorite quotes is in the movie, which is "Faith is believing in something when common sense tells you not to." And I love it. It's just a great Christmas movie. It's a great joy movie. It just really just makes me feel happy and fills me with joy. So that's why it's on my list. Number 4 is Steel Magnolias. This movie features Julia Roberts plays Shelby, and then it's actually a pretty all-star ensemble. Sally Field, Dolly Parton, Olympia Dukakis, Shirley MacLaine, Daryl Hannah round out the kind of 6 main people, in addition to Julia Roberts, that make up the cast. And this features around Shelby and her wedding and her life, and Shelby's circle of friends and her mom's circle of friends, and how they band together in times of triumph and in tragedy and in every little thing in between. Basically, life's little emotions that happened to these characters, and that's what the movie is kind of generally based on, is just this circle of friendship, and it really focuses on that. And why it's my favorite is because I have been watching this movie with my mom since I was 5, and I hope I don't start crying, but we've been watching this movie for as long as I can remember. We cry every single time we watch it. We don't know why we keep doing it to ourselves, but it's just such a marvelous movie that we can't help it, and we love it, and we are avid quoters of this movie. This movie's also hilarious, along with being dramatic and beautiful and happy. It's hilarious. So we laugh our way through it, we cry our way through it, and we quote it all the time. Number 4. Number 3 is The Sound of Music. And this movie is about Maria, who is a nun in an abbey, and she goes to be the governess, which is a fancy term for babysitter, nanny, to Captain Von Trapp's 7 children. And Captain Von Trapp is this mean old Navy captain, and he's angry and he's sad, and he's just not a great dad to his kids. And the movie is about Maria's relationship with the children and relationship with the captain. And spoiler alert, she falls in love with the captain and gets married, so she doesn't become a nun. And it's based off the true story of Maria Von Trapp and Captain Von Trapp in real life, who had the Von Trapp family singers and their kids. And so it's actually based on a true story, and it's kind of just the retelling of their story. It's based on the novel, I believe, that Maria Von Trapp wrote. So it is a musical. There are songs all throughout, and it's wonderful. The main characters are played by Christopher Plummer and Julie Andrews. And Julie Andrews played Mary Poppins, and Mia Thermopolis' grandma. She was Queen Clarice in the Princess Diaries movies. So she's famous. She's been famous for a long time. And this fun fact about this movie is it also won Best Picture at the Oscars. So it's a good quality flick. Why it's one of my favorites is kind of the same reason Steel Magnolias was. I watched this movie every time we went to our grandma's house. She had us watch Sound of Music. And while that's kind of the reason my brother hates the movie, it's the reason that I love the movie. And one of the lyrics in one of the songs is brown paper packages tied up with strings. And every Christmas we get a brown paper package tied up with strings. So, number 3. Number 2 is a really long movie, and it's a really sappy movie, and it's a really romantic movie based on a historical ship. If you don't know it by now, number 2 is Titanic. And I basically gave you the synopsis, but primarily the movie focuses on the love story, with the ship sinking kind of being the secondary focus of the story. You would think it'd be flipped, but if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. So Titanic focuses on, obviously, the iconic ship, the Titanic, that sunk. And if that's a spoiler alert, you need to join the 21st century and read up on your history, because if you didn't know that happened, then there's no hope for you. But it focuses on the ship sinking and then focuses on the two characters, Jack and Rose. Jack is a third-class steersman who just has no money and kind of makes life his own. And then Rose is a prim and proper first-class woman, and it's about their love story aboard the Titanic. And it's about 3 hours and 16 minutes long. It's a really long movie, and I bet I cry a good an hour and 45 minutes of it at least. So that's kind of part of it. It's on my favorites list just because it's one of those movies that end up on a lot of people's favorites list. I mean, it's just amazingly written. It's amazingly shot. It's amazingly acted, in my opinion, although you'll ask the actors and they're not super proud of their performances in this movie, but I loved them. And it introduced the world to Leonardo DiCaprio for the most part. I mean, he was on some things before this, but this really put him on the map, and I'm so happy it did, because my man Leo, give the man an Oscar. Maybe not for Titanic, but give him an Oscar for something. Yeah, but I'm digressing. So Titanic is number 2. And number 1 on my list, which you know this movie already if you watched my intro to YouTube video. It was my fun fact about Tori, but in case you didn't and you're just joining on my channel now, my number 1 favorite movie is Pocahontas. This is a Disney movie, yes, and yes, it's my number 1, and it's not based on any love story. Well, it is, but it's not on my list because of any other reason besides it's my favorite Disney movie, and I just think it's amazing. It's just wonderful. Pocahontas is the animated retelling of the story of Pocahontas, and it's about Pocahontas and John Smith, and it's not historically accurate at all. There's nothing about it that's actually pretty close to what happened in real life with Pocahontas, so don't watch it for that reason. Watch it because it's great, and it's a Disney movie that's got amazing song and score written by Alan Menken and Howard Ashman, I believe. Maybe just Alan Menken. I know Alan Menken for sure. So Colors of Wind won an Oscar for Best Song for this movie, and it won an Oscar in my heart for Best Meet Cute between Pocahontas and John Smith. The scene they meet, I watch it all the time, and I also watch this movie probably every 3 weeks to a month. I'm watching Pocahontas, so that's my number 1. So just to quick go through my top 5 favorite movies again. Number 5 is Miracle on 34th Street. Number 4 is Steel Magnolias. Number 3 is Sound of Music. Number 2 is Titanic. And number 1 is Pocahontas. So that is my top 5. I don't know if that's showing up in the shot. Is it showing up? Yay, it's showing up. Okay, top 5. So let me know if you agreed with any of my picks, if any of my top 5 are on your top 5. If your top 5 doesn't agree with mine at all, let me know what your movies are in the comments below, because I love movies, as you can tell. And if I haven't seen one of them, I definitely try to watch them. So that's all for today. My fun fact of the day, since I talked about movies and you already know a little bit about books, I'm going to tell you something about me in general. So my fun fact about Tori is that I have an elf ear. My left ear is pointed like an elf. You can kind of see it. So that's a fun fact about me. I hope you liked my video. Thanks for watching.